สวัสดีค่ะ Season.Language ก็กลับมาอีกแล้วนะคะพร้อมกับที่เชื่อโรเบิร์ตนั่นเองวันนี้ภาษาอังกฤษเจ้าปัญหาคืออะไรเอ่ยนั่นก็คือ verb ช่อง2กับ verb ช่อง3นะคะที่เราจะต้องลงท้ายด้วย ed มีหลายๆคนที่จะออกเสียงผิดนะคะเดี๋ยวเราจะมาคุยกับที่เชื่อโรเบิร์ตว่ามีคำไหนบ้างที่คนไทยชอบออกเสียงผิดค่ะ Hi Robert today let's talk about the verb 2 and verb 3 that Thai people usually mispronounce. Do you have any examples to show us today?
Yeah, sure. Let me just start by just showing you a quick examples here of some of the things that we often pronounce incorrectly. So if we look here for the past tense of some of these verbs, we could start with one that I often hear mispronounced, and I'm not sure which ones you see here that stand out the most. But for me, I think this first one is often mispronounced. So if let's say you were in class yesterday and you rose your hand and I say, what did you do in class yesterday? You say, I personally would say I asked, but I know a lot of people would say I asked it, right? Yes, exactly. And so we need to say with almost it's like asked. And this is a really tricky one because it's a SKT sound. I would say asked. So you really have to roll that sk into a T sound, which is really tricky actually. Yeah, because this sound doesn't really exist in Thai language. So I think it's a bit hard for Thai people to master that. Yeah, so again, it's I asked a question yesterday. I asked. And what's the next word that you the next one that I think that I've come across is this word here. And do you have any examples? How do you think your students say this sometimes incorrectly? They would come to me and then they would say, oh, I looked at a picture yesterday. And I often say it's not look it, it's looked with a t sound at the back. Yeah, again there it's KT kind of sound. So we say, I looked at the picture yesterday. So you quickly roll the K sound into the T sound. So I looked at the picture yesterday. So it's definitely not look it. Yes, definitely not. So that's the next one here. Maybe we should pick out, I think is this one. And let's say that let's say that your computer broke and you wanted to take it down to Fortune Mall and you took it to the mall yesterday and you say, what my computer? What do your students say? They often say fix it. Right. Yes. So they say fix it. And that's really going to sound strange to any English speaker. They may not understand what you're talking about. We say, I fixed the computer yesterday. So it's another T sound at the end there. I fixed. And the next one that I got picked out here that I think I hear often mispronounced is jumped. Yes. It's right? Jump it. Jump it. This one often is mispronounced. Yes. So what you need to remember is that when you see the P here, you need to roll it again straight from the P to a T sound. So I jumped. That one's also difficult to pronounce, but it's I jumped up and down last night when I won the lottery. Okay. So then, yes, I jumped up and down last night. Okay. And this one I really wanted to bring up here because I often hear this mispronounced. And this is, do you have an example of how your students say this? Yeah, I think Thai people often say this word incorrectly because they think about the word wanted and they thought if it's watched, then it could be or it should be watch it. Right, and here we have watched. I watched a movie last night and it was great. I watched a movie. So it has to be watched with the sh at the back. Yeah, exactly. So all of the ones we've gone over so far are rolling from the last sound there to directly to a T sound at the end. Yes. So I watched. Okay. You have the last example for us? Yeah, the last example here is I yelled out loud.
Yeah,
I yelled out loud.
I think a lot of people will say yell it.
Okay, so let's remember then. Again, this is yelled. I yelled out loud.
And this time, it's a D sound at the back, not the T sound at the back.
Yes, so this one's a little bit different. It rolls into the D sound there. So I yelled out loud. We would say I yelled. So those are the ones that I think come up the most. There's definitely more, but these are ones that you kind of have to review each of them and get accustomed to saying them correctly just by memory, because intuitively you look at this word and you think, well, I need to pronounce this sound here, ed, right? I talked to my teacher yesterday, and that when you see the word, you think you must have to pronounce something there. I talked. That's what you would think, but we need to remember that it's I talked, again with a T sound. So it's almost one where you need to review each of these one by one and listen to the correct pronunciation and practice them a few times.
So ทุกคนคะเวลาเรา pronounce verb ช่อง2กับ verb ช่อง3นะคะที่ลงท้ายด้วย ed ต้องระวังนะคะบางคำลงท้ายต้องลงออกเสียง t เถอะนะคะบางคำก็ลงเสียง d เดอะนะคะแต่บางคำก็ต้องออกเสียง ed คือ ed เช่นคำว่า wanted นะคะ So thank you so much Robert for sharing this with us. Hopefully this is going to be very helpful for Thai people. หวังว่าคลิปนี้ก็จะเป็นประโยชน์กับทุกคนนะคะแล้วก็ต้องขอบคุณ Teacher Robert ด้วยเหมือนกัน I'll see you next time Robert.
All right, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.